The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, Dover Publications, Abridged Edition. Chapter 9, The Little Cabinet of the Tuileries. We will now leave V4 traveling with all speed to Paris and pass into the little cabinet of the Tuileries with its arched windows, which is so well known as being the favorite cabinet of Napoleon, Louis XVIII, and Louis Philippe. There, seated at a walnut table which he had brought from Hartwell, and to which he was greatly attached, King Louis XVIII was listlessly listening to a gray-haired, well-groomed, aristocratic-looking man of 50 or 52 years of age, and was at the same time making notes on the margin of a volume of Griffius's edition of Horace, an edition full of inaccuracies, but nevertheless much valued, from which His Majesty drew many of his wise philosophical observations. "What did you say?" the king inquired. "That I am somewhat harassed, sire." "Really, what carking care is on your mind, my dear Blacas?" "Sire, I have every reason to believe that a storm is brewing in the south." "Well, my dear Duke," Louis XVIII replied, "I believe that you are misinformed, for I know for certain that the weather is very fine in that quarter." Intellectual as he was, Louis XVIII was very fond of a pleasant jest. "Sire," Monsieur de Blacas continued, "if only to ease the mind of a faithful servant, could your Majesty not send to Languedoc, Provence, and Dauphine with some trustworthy men who would report on the feeling in these three provinces?" "Conimas surdis," answered the king, continuing his annotations. "Sire," the courtier laughingly replied, as you appear to understand the hemistich of the poet Venuzia, it is only fitting that your Majesty should believe in the good feeling of France. Nevertheless, I do not think I am quite wrong in fearing some desperate attempt." "By whom?" "By Bonaparte, or, at any rate, his party." "My dear Blacas," replied the king, "your alarms prevent me from working. And your feeling of security, sire, prevents me from sleeping." "Wait, my dear Duke, wait a moment. I have a happy note on Pasteur quam tire. You can continue afterwards." There was a moment's silence during which Louis XVIII wrote in as minute a handwriting as possible a note on the margin of his Horace, which having finished, he said, rising with the satisfied air of a man who thinks he has an idea of his own because he has commented on the idea of another. "Continue, my dear Duke, I am listening." "Sire," Blacas said, for one moment hoping to use V4 to his own advantage, "I must tell you that these are not mere meaningless rumors and idle tales that disquiet me. A man of strong common sense, meriting all my confidence, and charged by me to watch over the south," the Duke uttered these last words hesitatingly, "has arrived in all haste to bring me the news that a great danger threatens the king. I came without delay to you, sire." "Malade du avis domum," Louis XVIII continued, still making his notes. "Ah, here is Monsieur d'André. You did say Monsieur d'André?" he asked of the chamberlain who had just announced the Minister of Police. "Yes, sire, Baron d'André." "You have just come at the right moment," said Louis. "Come in, Baron, and tell the Duke your latest news of Monsieur Bonaparte. Do not conceal anything, no matter how serious. Is the Isle of Elba a volcano from which will issue a bloody, death-bringing war? Bella, horrida bella." Monsieur d'André balanced himself gracefully on the back of a chair on which he was leaning his hands and said, "Has your Majesty been pleased to peruse yesterday's report?" Yes, but give the Duke the contents of the report. Tell him exactly what the usurper is doing on his island." "Monsieur," said the Baron to the Duke, "all His Majesty's faithful servants have good reason to rejoice at the latest news that has reached us from Elba. Bonaparte—" Monsieur d'André looked at Louis, who, busily engaged in writing a note, did not even raise his head. "Bonaparte is bored to distraction," continued the Baron. "He spends whole days watching his miners at work at Port Longon. Moreover, we have ascertained that it will not be very long before the usurper is quite insane. His brain is giving way. One moment he is weeping bitterly, the next laughing boisterously. At other times he will spend hours on the shore throwing pebbles into the water, and if he succeeds in making 5 or 6 ducks and drakes, he is pleased with himself as if he had won another Marengo or a second Austerlitz. You must agree with me that these are sure signs of insanity." "Or else signs of wisdom, monsieur," smiled Louis. "The great captains of olden times amused themselves by casting pebbles into the sea. See Plutarch's Life of Scipio Africanus." "Well, Blacas?" the king continued triumphantly. What do you say to that? I say, sire, that either the Minister of Police is mistaken, or else I am. But as this would be impossible for a Minister of Police, who has the safe custody of your Majesty in his keeping, it is probably I who am under a wrong impression. Nevertheless, sire, I would question before your Majesty the gentleman of whom I spoke just now. In fact, I beg your Majesty to do him this honor. Most willingly, Duke. Under your auspices, I will receive whom you will, but I must receive him armed to the teeth. Have you a later report than this one, D'Andre? This one is dated February the 20th, and today is March the 3rd. No, sire, I'm expecting one hourly. I've been out since early morning, and it is possible that one has arrived during my absence. Then hie you to your office, and do not forget that I am waiting for you. I go, sire, and shall be gone but 10 minutes. In the meantime, sire, said Monsieur de Blacas, I will fetch my messenger. He has covered 220 leagues in barely 3 days.